Okay, I'm just reflecting off of the situation with Justin Bieber. Um, okay, he was born in the early 90s. I was born in the early 80s. And everybody knows, how slavery started. I would say, obviously, it started from the 1800s, but I'm talking about, I would say with slavery in North America, probably from, 1950 to 1960s. So I mean there are generations of those people that came from those eras, and then became generations of those people who raised had children, those baby boomers. It all came down to their beliefs at that time. I would say early 70s and 80s. It all came down to your belief system because wasn't it in California, I guess what, early 1970s? Wasn't it all that whole love and peace type of regime that was going around here? What do they call it? Like that 70s show? That era. Yeah, that's like so California. There wasn't really much of that going on in Canada, but that's definitely a Californian story, those racial factors. But, I mean, people who culturally came from the islands, the Caribbean islands, they never had to experience racism until they reached North America. I'm just keeping it real. I mean, yes, they did go through British colonialism. A lot of. But the point is that, like, when it came to those issues with Queen Elizabeth, over time it kind of worked itself out. But my factor is that I grew up in an era where, yes, I did experience racism, but it didn't hit me hard. Like, it didn't affect me the way how it would have affected someone from the 1960s or 1970s era. You understand? Like, we still had opportunities. I'm more came from an era. Okay, like I came from that, the Chrysalis, Animal Farm, George Orwell's 1984. Like, I came from that era. I came from that. When you read the story about the pig farm and all that stuff. That's what I came from, right? But I'm talking about my experience growing up as a child. I grew up around a lot of Europeans. So, like, my neighbors were from, like, Newfoundland. My neighbors were Spanish. My other neighbors were German, Irish, Scottish. Um, there was some, yeah, I had some South African neighbors. I had some neighbors from Nigeria and Ghana and Jamaicans and Trinidadians and Barbados. Yeah. So, like, I had a lot of Irish friends and stuff. So my point is that, like, I grew up in an era where I got to experience multiculturalism. And generally, like, especially, like, growing up when people like poor and stuff, if you live around a whole bunch of cultures and you guys are all broke, like, everyone's just humble because everyone was just trying to figure out life. And I went to school with a whole, like, Indian people from Bangladesh and Pakistan, India, Karachi. you know, there's a lot of Filipinos, Chinese. Um, I, I had a lot of friends from different cultures from all over the world. So eventually, it's mostly their parents. You know, they came from their country with that racist factor, but over time, live amongst different cultures. Like, you start to realize, oh, they're not so bad. Like, oh, okay, that one's safe. They're good. They're good. They're good. That's what it was with me. So My point to make is that I didn't grow up in that mindset like Justin. That's my point to make. So that's why it just is kind of disturbing knowing that I have to be the one to have to experience this type of nonsense coming from people like that, because like it just wasn't a part of my upbringing. No, like I went to a church, even the church that I went to, it was a it was like half Christianity. It was more of an Orthodox church, but it was a mixture of white people and black people in our church. There were like actual hardcore Jews, black Jews, and white Jews were in there. And then there was actually white Christian people and black Christian people all up in our church. So we, growing up, I got to experience, um, you know, both perspectives. So that's why I find what Justin is doing to me disturbing. The way how I see it in God, you're either with, you're either for black people or you're against black people. And that's still something to respect. But if you're just walking around trying to confuse people and then just pretending as if like, well, I'll just pretend that I like black people, but deep down inside I actually hate their guts. Like, you need to be a real person. You cannot be walking around like that. You know, don't be smiling in black people's face, Justin, when you're harboring so much hatred in your heart against them. And then that whole thing of like being on a music platform and then trying to, it's like, you know what he's doing? You can tell half the things that he talks about is not about him. He's not talking about himself. He's obviously talking about black people's experiences. It's an obsession, obviously, you know? But I think like there needs to be a factor with Justin is like, when are you gonna stop talking about black people? When are you, when is Justin gonna stop talking about what black people had to go through in life? And stop trying to reference like what black people had to go through with yourself. Like that's weird. That's disrespect. It's like you don't want a black person to go through their own experiences. Like you always feel as if like you have to be included in it. Something like what a black person went through. That's too much disrespect, man. I don't respect that. God don't respect that. Justin, like I'm black, right? But in America, especially in the state of California, I mean, black people have to go through a lot of trials and issues here. But black civil rights has been here for a very, very long time. Why can't you respect that, Justin? Like, why did you have to come from Canada to come here to California to express how much you want to discriminate and hate another black person that came from Canada? Like, why did you have to do that here in the state of California? Are you mad because you couldn't get away with doing that in Canada? Is that the reason why you chose to do it here in the state of California? People go through racism in Canada all the time, but we have our right to speak what was done to us. Like, I remember back in the day, like a lot of things would happen to people. People would just brush it off. But now it's like no, no, because you're trying to like paint this picture as if like certain black people are certain ways when we're not that way. Who's the liar? You are. You don't want to tell the truth, Justin. Well, I had to lie to save myself. Save yourself how? When you got a music contract with your own name on it. It wasn't supposed to include anybody else but yourself. But for some odd reason, you wanted to include me with that music contract, right? Guess what, Justin? How about you just like take your name off that music contract and then just put my name over your name? How about you just do that? Because I mean, you've been talking about me for I don't even know how long you've been doing this for, but you sure have been talking about me in my stories. with the simple fact that you have a music contract. So why don't you just put my name on the contract? And that would make it fair. And in actuality, that would make it a balanced situation, wouldn't it? Instead of you sitting there trying to peddle off of my personal life and my personal life situations that you never experienced. I think that's God's fairness. Like it's just so messed up what he did to me. So messed. I just don't respect what he did. I think a lot of it was really foolish, to be honest with you. Because like this, God said, that's you. That's you yourself. Whatever. You talk about yourself. Don't be talking about other people like that. Don't be talking about me in particular with my life. Don't talk about me like that. What's in your job? Eh? It's like Justin is the musician and then trying to play as being the op at the same time. Oh no, Justin wanted to be the musician and then want to be the op and then want to be TMZ at the same time. That's what he wanted to do. And then like use like and then like play God, like peddle the Bible, and then like use like really bad satanic practices against like another Christian person, which just was wrong. Some people will use witchcraft, but this guy went to like necromancy to pursue like how much he hated a black Jew that never did anything to him. Okay, that's too much hatred. What are you gonna do with all this hate, Justin? Because you know for a fact you can't carry that to heaven, right? And God don't respect your hate. Why do you think you had people like Martin Luther King and all those old patriarchs that were black men back in the day? That stood up for the rights for the of just a simple fact of being a black person. Why can't you just respect that? Respect what was done historically. And you need to respect the fact that it had nothing to do with you. Come on, Justin. Everybody knows you're not black. So don't be taking up black arguments that had nothing to do with you or your ancestors historically. You shouldn't be taking up people's arguments like that. I hate too much. Well, that's what my mother did. If that's what was going on in your house when you were a child with Patty, that means Patty was a bad mother. If that's how it was going on, if when your father was around, that means you had very bad parents. And I don't think like people should be on any type of public platform if they have that harboring that type of hatred around in society. Because to be honest with you, like nobody cares. All you was in your mind, Justin, was like stealing. You can't even go to God with a proper argument because all was in your mind was like devil crap, right? What does God say? God said, "Worship the Lord in spirit and in truth." Look at all that shit you post online. That's not you. You know that. You know you didn't live that life. Not even your mother lived that life. Not even your father lived like that. Both your mother and your father did not go through those experiences. You've been talking about black people all along. But like that, this is 2024 now, and if you think that life is supposed to function that way, of it's always like a white person having to talk about a black person, society can't run like that. No, God can't run like that. When God wrote the Bible and He made us learn about all the biblical stories that what was taking place back in the day, He made it so that people would have understanding about bloodlines and the purposes that was coming out of those bloodlines. If you can't even respect the truth out of what was coming out of the Bible, God can't trust you to hold any type of truth, Justin. How can you say like, "Oh, I'm a chosen person," da 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 da, when you can't even hold true to God's truth? And like everybody has their belief system. Every day, everyone will constantly put out arguments out of the Bible, but it's spirit that will reveal the truth, and you cannot go against the truth out of spirit. So once you know the truth, you're not to get upset about it because it's not about you. That's why. It is like Justin lying and saying like, "Oh, I came from the Lions Federation." You obviously didn't, and I'll tell you why. Because majority of people who are from the Lionsgate Federation, they actually like look like lions. They actually do. Or like you'll actually see someone and they'll like actually look like a goat. People actually have those features. You don't. Once you try looking yourself in the mirror for a change, Justin, and go find your body. That's what you need to do. You need to go and balance yourself and go and try and discover yourself and return back my money to my body because that's not your money. Right? It's people like Justin White, like, you know, California's in a mess because they just constantly want to hold on to this lie about God. You know, look how many artists came to LA. They sang their songs, they did this, they did that, and they left. What are you holding on to California for? I'm sitting there stealing people's money. That's my money. Give it back to me. Knowing the fact that you went to Hollywood and you obviously barely had anything to talk about. That's why you had to take up arguments talking about me. You're not to get paid for that shit. Those are really bad forms of sociopathy. But okay, back in the day, I remember when the social issues started to rise up. Because there wasn't enough resource. That's why. But once people started to adjust their lives so that they could actually have something or actually just. I remember back in the day when people just started doing the work. That's what I remember. It wasn't an issue about can't have, no, can't have, can't do, da, da, da. It was just about God making a way out of no way. That's what it was. It was about just just doing what you gotta do, just doing something, really. You know. But you saying how like, oh, Hollywood is da 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 da, blah blah blah. Like, Justin, you didn't even come from the foundations out of Hollywood. So what are you talking about? You lied so much, and you shouldn't be doing what you're doing because like Hollywood is a very prestigious, respectable place. And if it's you constantly doing these things to people behind their back, what are you trying to do to Hollywood? So you need to cut out this crap and stop being so fake. Take off those fake ass masks and just be a real person. Stop being so fake. But anyway, my point in posting these is to get the messages out that even if someone does this to you, they're still not right in God. That's my message to put towards Justin. Even if someone is doing wicked to you, you're not right in God. You still need correction. I guess Justin reached a level in his life where he just felt like, oh no, I couldn't survive in Canada. Da, 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 da. Well, baby, Canada wasn't for you. Maybe you're supposed to go somewhere else. Just like all people here in California, they're just here. Maybe certain things out right. Maybe they should go somewhere else. You know. But for someone to sit around and try and be another person, that's where you need correction. You can't do that. I can't stop myself from being who I am because I accepted that I accepted who I am as an individual. And I can't have you, Justin, trying to take that away from me. Who are you? You did all of this just because you couldn't think of any ideas to piece a music career together. It's not even a book. It's messy. That's not a book. What is it? It's literally like a war story out of like an angry poor kid that hated an older black woman because she was black. And he didn't really know her, but he was just really mad and hateful because she's just a high vibing black person. And then he just stalking her and then uh, taking all her stories and going online and saying that was what he went through in life when everybody knows it was a complete lie. That doesn't make up a music career. That's a lie. Like I have a friend, she's going through a divorce and that's her truth. And nobody can take that away from her because that's her experience. What her experience going through divorce, that's her personal experience. It's a unique to her situation based off of the person that she married, characteristics and personality traits, and her characteristics and personality traits, and then, societal factors, financial factors, etc., etc., etc. But that's her experience. You can't just like, okay, this black girl was a single mom and she struggled. Okay, well, I'm gonna go online and tell the whole entire planet that I was this black girl and I was the one that was going through struggle of being a single parent. That's not respectable, Justin. It's not. You're not to be respected for that type of thinking. That's racism. I just feel like he's weird. I feel like Justin's a weirdo. Yeah, I feel like he's a weirdo because like there's single mothers all over the world. So what? A black woman was single. So that wasn't your part of the Bible. There was a lot of societal factors why there was a lot of single females back in the day. And these were stories that you never experienced, Justin, because that you didn't come from that type of bloodline. So how about you stop talking about my bloodline? How about that? Because you didn't come from it. Justin, you coming off like you're either an Egyptian or a Pharisee, one or the other. Justin has to be Egyptian, especially his mother. I'm sure Justin's mother was an Egyptian. I don't think they're the real Jews because look at their attitude. Okay? It's fake. At least if you're gonna go to the Baptist church and learn about the Bible, at least live in your own truth. My God, jeez. I just can't believe that Justin Bieber chose me to stalk and that he email hack and do ritual on to take my stories and talk about what I went through. So at the end of the day, there's they have facial recognition technology. Like your face still doesn't even match up with the stories, Justin. It still doesn't match up. And then like some of the things that he was talking about me online, like people were done with those things, those situations many decades ago. As a matter of fact, like a lot of those issues that black women went through, there was a lot of wisdom that came out of it. So it actually served an actual good purpose in life, you know. So I don't understand why made it seem as if like that was supposed to be something to look down upon when actually it just brought in a lot of wisdom. My point is that do I need to like people like Justin? No, I don't need to. Does he need to be my friend? No, because he's clearly shown me that he's my enemy, that he's not my friend. He clearly showed that to me. This is like fake beef over a real enemy. That's scary, man. Seriously. But I still can't even. The only part I take seriously about this issue is the fact that you stole records, like people's ancestral records, and then you try to play it off online like it was yours. That's where I take like really bad offense. And then I take a bad offense the fact that like I have you trying to like imitate, trying to be like my kids, and then you're trying to imitate to be me. You know, that's offensive. And then you're trying to imitate to be my baby's fathers. Like, why'd you do that, Justin? Both of them, Justin was trying to be both my baby fathers. And then you want to say, act as if like you have superpowers or you want to act like you're supreme. That's not supreme. That's actually like a lot of dysfunction, a lot of